So we continue with Petroleum Safety Measures Act 1984 and Gas Supply Act 1993. So for the learning outcome of this subtopic, students should be able to explain the purposes of Petroleum and Gas Supply Act and to review the part in regulation related to Petroleum and Gas Supply Act and to review common and important regulation related to Petroleum and Gas Supply Act. And in this presentation, I will discuss on introduction part, contents, regulation under the Petroleum Act, safety measures, 1984, Gas Supply Act, 1993, and conclusion. So basically, this is the laws of Malaysia for Petroleum Safety Measures Act 1984. So in the introduction part, so the Petroleum Safety Measure Act 1984 is an act that consolidates laws relating to the safety in the area of transportation, storage, and utilization of petroleum. And the Petroleum Safety Measure Act 1984, also known as Act 302, was gazetted on 28 June 1984. On 12 September 1999, an amendment was made on the Act. The Amendment Act A807 consists of repeal of provision not required, and B is additional provision. And the Act consists of 11 parts as follow. And for the part 1, referring to preliminary, this part consists provision as follow. Short title, commencement and application, and B is interpretation. And among the interpretation are inspector of petroleum appointed under section 38, and for handling includes the action of touching, feeling, grasping, transferring, or decanting with the hand or assisted by any means. And for storage include the processing, dispensing, or transfer of petroleum, the action of putting into store or staking at a place or in an aircraft, motor vehicle, motor trailer, or vessel. And for petroleum, any mineral oil or relative hydrocarbon and natural gas existing in its natural condition, and casing head petroleum spirit including bituminous shale and other stratified deposit from which oil can be extracted, including petroleum product. And for classes of alcohol, class 1 until class 3 based on the flash point and boiling point. And for licensed premises in respect of which there is a license to store and handle petroleum. And for the transportation of petroleum by road and railway, among the main provisions stipulated under this part are as follow. Conveyance of petroleum by road or railway must be in accordance with this act and regulation made thereunder. The power of minister to make regulation for the safe transportation of petroleum and for safeguarding person and property from danger. The employee are not to be informed of the provision of the act and its regulation. Any offence shall be fined. And among the main provisions stipulated under this part are as follow. Loading, unloading and discharging of petroleum. And no vessel having petroleum shall enter the port without the permission of the port officer. Duty to notify the inspector of vessel coming into port by master or owner or agent. And permission of port officer to unload or discharge petroleum from vessel. And E is instant loading, unloading and storage of petroleum. F is prohibition to carry petroleum whether in the hold or on deck, and prohibition to remain in any port without permission. And for the transportation of petroleum by air, among the main provisions stipulated under this part are as follow. No petroleum other than petroleum used solely for the purpose of the propulsion of the aircraft shall be transported in any aircraft except with the prior authorization of the minister. And among the main provisions stipulated under this part are as follow. Authorization by the Minister of any pipeline works. Pipeline works include placing, inspection, maintaining, adjusting, repairing, altering or renewing a pipeline. Number 2 is breaking up or opening land for the purpose of work mentioned above. B is emergency pipeline works by executed without the authorization of the minister, provided the minister is notified of such works within 24 hours of the commencement work. And C is offences relating to unauthorized pipeline work, maximum penalty Rm 20,000 for continuing offence, further fine of Rm 5,000 per day. And among the main provisions stipulated under this part are as follow. Prohibition of storing and handling without license. B is labelling of containers or receptacles containing petroleum. And C is power of minister to make regulation in special circumstances. And D is occupier shall notify any accident involving petroleum within 24 hours to the minister. Loss of life or personal injury occurs by explosion or by fire. Minister may be ordered or direct any person to hold an inquiry into the cause of the accident, and F is insulting person conducting inquiry. Protection against suit for person conducting inquiry. No evidence taken under this act shall be admissible in any civil or criminal proceeding. Basically, this is the list of exemption. And utilization of equipment, gadgets, materials, plants, appliance, building, structure and installation. Among the main provisions stipulated under this part are as follow. Power of minister to declare any equipment, gadget, plant, material and others is of an approved type. The verification and tests have been conducted by the authorities. The minister may make amends to the list of approved equipment and breach of provision and application. And for the existing equipment, gadgets, material, plants, appliance, building, structure and installation, among the main provisions stipulated under this part are as follow. Utilization in any licensed premises with the approval of the minister, rectification of equipment not later than 3 years, breach of provision. And general power for rectification, the main provision stipulated under this part is as follow. The minister has the power to make rectification and nothing in part B2 and part B3 shall affect this provision. And among the main provisions stipulated under this part are as follow. The officer undertaking such verification are fully responsible for the verification of any plan, building, installation, equipment or apparatus as prescribed by such regulation. And among the main provisions stipulated under this part are as follow. The authority whom is conferred powers under this act subject to such condition and restriction may delegate such power considered to be fit and proper to any person. Appointment of inspector by minister for the purposes of carrying into effect the provision of this act. And among the powers of inspector are enter, inspect and examine at all reasonable times any licensed premises in which petroleum is kept. Take samples, may request, record, examine and make copies, may instruct cease of operation if found unsafe for life or property. Any person who fails to permit an inspector to execute his duty shall be guilty on an offence, fine of 5,000. And premises of vessel and vehicles referred to Part 2, 3 and 4. Free and obstructed ingress of inspector or police officer not below the rank of sergeant to any premise. Liability of agents and servants, revocation of license, permits and appeal to minister by any aggrieved person. And power of minister to exempt any person, vehicle, vessel or place. General powers of minister. And finally, the fees collected in respect of any license or permit under Part 4 or any regulation made in respect to that part shall be revenue of the local authority or such person as the case may be issuing the license or permit. And for the regulation under the Petroleum Act 1984 safety measure, there are two: Petroleum Safety Measure, Transportation of Petroleum by Water, Regulation 1985, and Petroleum Safety Measure, Transportation of Petroleum by Pipeline, Regulation 1985. And for the Gas Supply Act 1993, the Gas Supply Act 1993 may be cited as the Act 501 and was gazetted on 4 February 1993. It stipulates provision for appointment and functional of commission, licensing of the gas supply to the consumer, supply of gas at reasonable price, control of gas supply, pipeline installation and appliance, with respect to matters relating to safety of person and for purpose connected therewith. And this act also contains 11 parts. And basically it also contains preliminary part, application, interpretation, including city gate station and danger, and gas, competent person, and this part consists of part 3, 4 and 5. And then this part function and duties of commission, power of entry, investigation and prosecution and license. And we have part 4, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There are 3 schedules in this act. First schedule, notice of intention to enter and do work on land. Second schedule, order of the district land administrator in respect of objection on the entry on land. And third schedule is assessment. And for regulation, the regulation are as follow: license, gas installation, operation, certificate of competency and registration, maintenance, miscellaneous and schedule. In conclusion, both of the Petroleum Act, Safety Measure 1984 and the Gas Supply 1993 stipulate the provision for the administration and transaction of petroleum and gas. Both acts provide specific safety provision in the handling of the substance in order to ensure the safety of the public. Among the provisions discussed under this acts are duties of occupier and agent as well as the requirement for permission or license from the authorities before commencing activities pertaining to petroleum and gas. Basically, this is the reference for lecture today. Thank you.